Hello, bonjour. My name is Agathe Mathieu. I'm a living cuisine chef. That means you probably have heard of raw food. That's what it is. Raw food is taken from the garden onto our plate with very minimal processing. So that way we keep the enzymes alive, the vitamins, the minerals, the proteins, all the goodness in the food. That's what it is. How did I start eating this way? That was back in 2003. I had a friend who lent me a book on living cuisine. And a dear friend of mine, she was a holistic practitioner and very, very talented. So, no question, of course, I read the book. It was an easy read. I read it that night on August 23rd, 2003, read the book. And the next morning, I started eating this way. It just made sense to me. I mean, in that book, it said eat nuts and fruits and vegetables and legumes, all good things to eat. I said, well, why not? So I started eating this way. Not that I thought that, it would make a difference. As you can see, I have arthritis. You can see my hands. I had arthritis, I should say. Not that I thought it would fix it, because the usual story, right? They say, when it's in your family, dear, you're stuck, you're doomed, you're going to get it too. So yes, 45 years old, it started to creep into my life. And I mean, like little by little, it would take away my strength in my hands. It was just insane. So I started to sew. I was 12. I'm now 45 years old. I cannot pull a thread out of, when you sew, you have to unsew sometimes. I could not pull a thread out. It would slip between my index finger and my thumb. I had to take a pair of pliers, long nose pliers, using my entire hand to pull out the thread. Imagine that. And then at the time, my three children were young, 9, 11, and 4, 9, 11, and 13, something like that. And I had to ask them, can you please open that jar for me? Can you please lift that for me? Because I was just weak. Like I said, my hands were not capable. My brain was saying, do that, but my hands were not. And I had pain in my hip, left side and left ankle, because I, fractured my ankle with my third child when I was pregnant. So they say, you have a break, a fracture, and then you'll feel the weather. Well, I was feeling the pain there for sure. I started eating this way, and within a week, I already felt the difference. My energy, level of my energy, my waking up in the morning, and the brain fog was lifted, gone. So of course I carried on, and in 3 months, what happened during that first 3 month period of eating this way? Arthritis was gone and never came back. So my hands look like, but they are not in pain, and I'm able to lift 50-pound boxes. No problem whatsoever. I can open jars. I can do whatever I want with my hands. Excess weight just melted away, and I was eating. Not that I was depriving myself. I was eating wonderful desserts too. When we do living cuisine, you'll see some of the desserts a bit later. I have a gift for you. And then floaters in my vision, I had so many of them that when I was reading a book, I had to move my head, like, get those things out of the way that I could read the word. It was that bad, that many. And I see from one eye, I don't see from this one. So I was in bad shape. Rashes on my face. Oh my gosh. My birth mother also had psoriasis. So my skin was an issue. I mean, it was terrible. It was cracking and bleeding here. And I love to laugh. I love to talk, as you can see. And so I did, but it would hurt. It would crack and hurt. I looked like I had a sunburn, year round. Never mind if there was no sun. I was red like a lobster. It all went away. And then, I mean, I used to use makeup, stage makeup to cover it up. That was that bad. You see what I mean? So it all went away. I did it for myself alone for 6 months because, yeah, I know you can understand that, my husband at the time was like, well, I don't know if we do this. I mean, what's going to happen to our children? They're still young. But I mean, after 6 months, obviously, the results were there. Excess weight gone, floaters gone, rashes gone, arthritis gone. So it's like, and I'm full of energy. So, it was just amazing. So what I did is along the way, as I was doing this, I was preparing meals for them, cooking, of course. But then I would prepare a large plate with dips and things, and that they could eat. So I would call everyone at the table, and then they could eat some of those vegetables while they were waiting for their cooked food to come. So and that way they got used to it, right? And also what happened is that my children would say, oh, Mom, that's delicious. And then I made it again, a few days later, it doesn't taste the same. Children, right? If they love something, but then you serve it again and it's not exactly the same, they know it. And so they won't eat it. So what I did is I asked them, well, tell me, come in the kitchen with me, because the beauty of Living Cuisine, what you make is what you get. It doesn't go in the oven. It doesn't cook on the stove. We use blenders, food processors, and we use dehydrators. So dehydrator, the only thing it does, it removes the water content out of the food. But the food taste is similar, of course, to what you have. So you can then correct. And also, so that's what happened. So my children came in the kitchen, and then, that we're tweaking the recipes and I'm taking notes, but how to recreate the same. When you have a recipe and it says you cut half a cup of bell pepper, well, is it the size of my thumb? Is it the size of my little finger? How big are those pieces to actually make the half cup? So I started to use grams. I'm from Quebec. I mean, I knew nothing about grams. I was brought up on cups and everyone here in North America. So I didn't know, but that's ideal. Then you can really, every time you have the same gram, the same weight. So the only thing that would change is the time of the year, depending on how products travel for miles or miles, or they come from your farmers next door. So that's different for taste, a little bit different. But then, you get very, very close to recreating the same. So that's how I, really, my children enjoyed then eating that way, because when they love something, I was, able to recreate the same. And this story that people have, oh, but how many recipes do you have? And if you look, you probably are serving between the same 10, 20 recipes all the time. Every so often you open your recipe book that collected dust on your shelf, and you'll do a new recipe for a special event or a special occasion. But really, we eat the same thing. So as long as those same things that you eat are healthy, then why not? So that's what happened with my children. There were some things they dearly love, and I, of course, made sure that we had that ready for them to eat. So there you go. So basically 6 months, and then my children join in, and my husband at the time also joined in. In his case, it was sleep apnea that got resolved. Amazing, just got resolved. The doctor was saying to him, look, you must sleep with a mask, or you must have the operation. If you've been with someone who has sleep apnea, it's just scary. I mean, I would like wake up because it feels like he wasn't breathing, and I would gently put my finger in front of his nose to see if I could feel some air coming out without waking him up, because he had such a hard time to sleep. And then he would go, like that's what the body does. It gasps for air. So then you have this huge snore that came out of him, and like the room would shake. I was making jokes. It's like a 10-wheeler coming through the bedroom. That's how bad he was snoring. It went away. It just disappeared. It was just remarkable. And so there you go. My children, when my children, oh my children, that was also something else. My youngest had such bad, it was so hyper that the teacher asked me to put him on Ritalin. I was like, no, I'm not doing this. So he started eating this way, and he calmed down like a fine rain after a huge storm. He was active, but nothing like what it was before. Then just to give you an idea, we had a hallway that was narrow in a house, just 3 feet wide, and he would take his shoes off, and then with his bare feet and hands, he would go up the wall, bang, and let himself drop down on his feet and do that again and again and again. I mean, the child was just so, and it was also making him uncomfortable, of course, going through this. So starts to eat the living cuisine, all resolved. Then my oldest son, my middle child, Halloween, fall 2003, and he goes out and he comes back with half a pillowcase of candies, and none of those were organic. And we were eating organic already at home. So none of those were. So I said, well, look, Nicholas, choose about 20 of them, and then the rest has to go. It's not good for you. I'll buy you the organic candies. Please don't eat those. So yeah, you agree. I put the candies in a plastic bag, put it in the trash can. I didn't know that he took the bag out of the trash can and he hid it in his room. And after, do I remember how long? What happened is in the back of his legs, he developed a rash that started to be like half an inch square, an inch square, 2 inch square. It was so scary. And it was going up his genitals and was just like, oh my gosh. But also he would wake up in the morning with dry blood under his fingernails. And then there was blood on his sheets. I mean, for a parent, it's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? So I hated it, but I did. We did 2 rounds of antibiotic. It didn't resolve the problem. Started eating raw food, just went away. Just everything got resolved just by eating the food. My daughter, my oldest child, she had a rash, such a bad rash on the back of her neck. She would scratch. It looked like a cat used the back of her neck for a scratching post. That's how bad it was. And she had scratches over her head. And then she would read, like, sit down, read a book. And without noticing, she would just go around her face like this, scratching. So she had a red halo around her face and puffy eyes and puffy, all puffy here. She was miserable. Raw diet resolved everything. The beauty for a parent, as you know, or yourself, you've been caring for a friend, if you can resolve without the use of pharmaceutical, the body has such a way of healing that is gentle. Yeah, it might take a bit longer. Like I remember when I was with my skin, the dermatologist gave me cortisone cream. Well, of course, it resolved the problem in a matter of a few weeks. But then I look at the tube and I read cortisone. Oh, no, thank you very much. I stopped that and the problem came back. So the thing with pharmaceuticals sometimes is you must keep taking whatever it is you're taking that seems to resolve the problem on the outside, but nothing is resolved inside. So what happened for my children is, there you go, all the problems were resolved using Mother Nature. By then, we had in our cabinet, before we started the living cuisine, I had switched everything to homeopathic. So, Golden Seal and olive oregano and all that. But it was sitting in our cabinet for so long without being used, it was all expired. So throw this out. So in our home, we had no medication. We had Band-Aid and, and product to clean up if there was scratching or bleeding or something, and then clean it. But that's it. We had no pharmaceutical, of course, and not even homeopathic remedies. There was no need. My children were not sick. I was not sick. Same, I mean, 18 years, not sick. Just remarkable what it does when your body is strong, your immune system, is fine. And actually, parents would say, oh, no, no, my child cannot go and play with yours today because he's got a sniffle, he's got this, got that. I said, come on, bring them on, no problem. So we always did that. That was just marvelous, was just fantastic. The other thing that I want to share with you of my journey, and if I would have known of that before, it would have made things more simple. So when you start on something, like, you would say, hey, I want to do this. So I really strongly suggest you to do it for 30 days. Like, or choose one meal and stick to it. You say, I'm going to do breakfast. Choose breakfast and stick to it for a good amount of time so you can see the difference. Like, you don't go to the gym for 2 days. I'm going to build muscles. You have to go regularly, right? You won't build your muscles in 2 days. It's the same with when you make a change into your life. You have to give time to that new protocol to see if really you get results or not. So when I started doing that, around me, there was concern, because not so much for me, but there was concern for my children. What's going to happen to them? Are they going to grow like in height? Are they going to, is their IQ going to develop if they don't eat animal protein? Their teeth, concerns. And at the time, what it was me doing research and trying to find something about, eating vegan food, which wasn't common back then, 18 years ago, let me tell you. I was the weird one. So I couldn't find, now there are many functional doctors that do functional medicine. And then, the proof is there. They say, we know how good it is for our microbiome, but back then it wasn't. We couldn't go to a restaurant and eat vegan like we do now. So I didn't know. So I kept on, searching and searching to show them that it was right, even though the obvious was, because my, all my issues were resolved, all my children's issues were resolved. My then husband at the time was resolved. So obviously we were doing something right, and nobody was falling dead. We were full of energy, as I am today. Was the same back then. So was for my children and my then husband. So what I suggest you do is, when you take this on, is you ask people around you that you care about, how it is, your relationship with them. That's what I'm meaning. So you ask them to support you. You say, look, I've listened to Agathe. She's sharing all about what she's doing. Actually, you can give them the link that you can come and see that video. And then I'm suffering right now with cholesterol, overweight, high blood pressure, arthritis. Name it. It's like there is a huge list of, that it can heal so many situations. Basically, it just removes inflammation from your body. So you ask people that you care about, that you have in your life, that you see and want to keep the relationship. You ask them, please support me. I don't mean to upset you. When we meet as a family, as friends, I'll bring my food. You don't have to do anything of what I do. It's just my thing. I'm going to do that for myself, or I'm going to do it for my family, my children at the same time. But please support me, please. And I'll bring desserts, because desserts are amazing. So for sure, your friends, your family will ask you to bring desserts. So you offer to bring desserts, but you bring your own food, and you ask them to support you like they would. If they were themselves in that situation, if they were themselves in the situation where the doctor says, you cannot eat that for now because it's not good for you. If the doctor says that to them, you would respect that. So ask them the same, say, you know, please respect what I'm doing right now. I'm asking you, I don't mean to offend you. I don't mean to say, I mean, yes, you're a fantastic cook. I love your food, but for now, I'm just not gonna have it. And I'm doing this, you know, be ready for me because I'm doing this for 6 months. So ask their support, and that will make a huge, huge difference. I'm sure. And like, again, you know, if I would have known, it would have made my life way easier back then. Now it is not so strange to eat vegan, so that's good. So you have that on your side. And I mean, delicious recipes are always, you know, also win the hearts of so many. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to show you, I have a gift for you. It's an ebook, and in there you have, you know, various steps to go through or things to know about when you take on this journey. So we're going to go together through that book so you can see what's inside. And simply what you do is you go on my page or you go to healingvegancuisine.com, and then you can send me an email, and then I'll tell you how to get into the private group and where I can answer questions, and I'll do live as well, you know, every week. So I'll let you know all the information about that, and then, you know, you'll be able to have more information as you start your journey, and some free recipes which you have in that book. Okay, so let me share. I'm going to share that book here with you. There we go. Let's make it full screen. Awesome. So as you can see, I just told you a bit of my story. So that's what you have here at the big, oops, let me just show you. I'll show you the top. So there you go. That's the cover page of the book. And then you have all the different section in the book. There's a welcome, of course. Then there is my story, which is in brief here. I told you a bit longer now in our video, the story of my children, how they healed. And then also, like I said, I mean, healing without the use of pharmaceutical is such a, it's just, you know, it seems that, and pharmaceuticals sometimes must be taken, but ideally, you can get off it, right? Not for the rest of your life. So if you don't get into the pharmaceutical at all, you know, then it's just easier. Find your why. I was, saying about asking the support of the friends and close people to you, but finding your why is also what keeps you from falling off the wagon. So what I mean by this is when I saw that I was getting back the strength in my hands, that I was able to run around with my children, I was able to pick them up, I was able to open jars in my kitchen, I was back to normal. And I'm back to normal since then. It never came back. So, you know, you find something in you that when the temptation to have something that you shouldn't, you know very well that you shouldn't, then when you have a why so strong, you don't fall for it. You see what I mean? So, you know, again, you go out with friends and they're having a cake with lots of ice cream and icing for dessert. You look at that, you go, you know, wish to have it, but you know very well that that would, you know, bring back the pain in your body, limits you from what you would like to do, sets you back from getting to your goal. So find your why. Ask yourself, why would I do that? And keep asking the question. Keep. I'm inviting you. Keep asking the question. There is an exercise that, and I'll find the name of the gentleman who started it, but I've done that into one of the workshops I've been doing, 7-level deep. And why? Because, and why? Because, and why? Because. So you keep digging until it reaches inside you, until, you know, you come to tears. That's what happened for me. I came to tears when I went like, gosh, having that in my life, you know, it's you know, like they say, a man without, a person without her or his or health has only one wish, is to be healthy again. So when you get to that why, that is exactly that. The one wish is to get healthy again. You see what I mean? So find your why. And then the next thing is what is living cuisine, which I explained a little bit, which is from the garden to your plate, minimally processed. It's also, there is a system, it's called Nova Food, and it explains the level 1, 2, 3, and 4. Level 1 is living cuisine, what I'm showing you today. Level 2 is when you start to add process like refined sugar, oil, and things like that. Level 3 is what you find on the grocery shelves. And as you know, they have to put various things in there so it keeps. And level 4, I would say, is engineered food, you know, in a lab. And so our body doesn't know about that. But more importantly, our microbiome doesn't do well on that food. Our microbiome does best on level 1, which is living cuisine. And then the next thing is soaking and sprouting. So if you eat a chickpea, you know, any legumes that are not soaked and rinsed and activated or even sprouted, like you have a sprout, you're not eating a legume, you're eating a seed. So if it's not, if it hasn't engaged into the process of becoming a plant, it's a seed. And we're not designed to eat seeds. And also what happens is when you eat seeds, you don't get as many nutrients. So, you know, it just doesn't feed you. That was the other beautiful thing, is when my children started to eat the living cuisine, I didn't see their little butt sticking out of the fridge every hour. They were happy, they were fed, they had, you know, they were satiated. So that's a good thing. I'm also, it shows in the book here, and I teach that in my course, how to get all your vegetables ready. So then when it's ready, you know, the carrots are shredded and the beets are shredded, and then, you know, things are washed and it's in a container. It's easy to grab and make a meal. Otherwise you go, I don't have the time. So you don't eat what you should, you know very well you should be eating. So there is that. I talk about the microbiome, which feeds on fiber and resistant starch, and that's all into living cuisine. It's amazing. Then we have the acid forming food versus the alkaline forming food. Acid forming food will create inflammation. So that's just, it's just what it is. So if you have anything, and inflammation is the cause of so many illnesses. So Google what's going on in your life and see what happens. Take out the acidic forming food that you have in your diet and the way you're eating now, and you'll see a huge difference. Then living cuisine, you'll see the pyramid here. It's just a gorgeous thing. Start with water. So I explained that as well, is simply the weight, your weight in kilos is the number of ounces you should be drinking in a day, as simple as that. Have it ready, like I do. I have it here. I mean, I have 2 bottles like this that I drink in a day, and that's I make sure I drink that, and that's what I need to drink for my weight. And then you can see, you know, all the vegetables, which is absolutely gorgeous. The environmental benefits are amazing. When we started eating this way as a family, our 2 big bag every second week went down to a little bag, you know, like the little kitchen one that you get. There's the one, that's all we had. We had a huge pile of compost in our backyard. That was awesome. So you then, you know, have such a light footprint. You become an you know, an eco family. It's just wonderful knowing that you're not you know, piling stuff on top of your community dump, which who wants to have a dump behind their backyard, right? So you're not contributing to that. Be a human being instead of a human doing. I talk about that too in my book. And that's simply to meditate, walk, sleep, and gratitude. And here are the recipes. So it'd be my pleasure to send you that ebook. Again, healingvegancuisine.com. If you do Agathe Mathieu as well, it will come up. You'll see the name of my cafe most likely, which is Cafe by Tao, a cafe I had for 8 years. So you'll see my name under that as well. And then there we go. I think that I just want to make sure, I still have a few seconds. It was a pleasure being with you. And I sure hope that you'll see some benefits for you. And like I said, start with one meal and stick to it. And you'll see it'll make a huge difference in your life. Change your eating, change your life. Have a wonderful week.